Marshall Mathers the fourth here. This will be a continuation video to the previous video that I made and uploaded yesterday of reasons why I wish I would have been raised in the hood. So this will be part 2 to that video. And I want to start off by saying that the other day I got a lot of comments from people, and some of the people were saying stuff along the lines of, if I would have had that experience and opportunity, that I would have got picked on and bullied a lot and that I didn't miss out on anything. And some other people were saying that I should be pretty much grateful and thankful that I did not have that opportunity or experience to have had, or to have been brought up or raised or born into that sort of environment and lifestyle. And what I just want to say to those people is that even with the environment that I did grow up in, unfortunately, and was raised in, I got picked on and bullied a lot. I got picked on and bullied by all white people. Every single person I was ever picked on or bullied by was a white person. Especially knowing that every single school that I ever went to since kindergarten up until the 9th grade, until I dropped out, were just all white schools. And that makes sense, knowing that the kind of town that the schools were in that I went to since I was a little kid and since kindergarten was in a completely white city called Greenville, Michigan. A very dull and boring, calm, peaceful, normal, well-protected and defended environment that has a lot of, mainly, if anything, old white people, like grandparents, old white grandmas and grandpas and whatnot. And those are the people who usually only are able to even afford houses in a nice area like that anyway. And if you are a young person and do try to find a house in an area like that, you have to make sure you pretty much have a job in the 6 figures income range to even be able to afford any house at all in Greenville, Michigan. Otherwise, you'll just pretty much end up settling for an apartment that reeks of smoke, cigarette smoke. But yeah, I mean, every school I ever went to since kindergarten, every single person that ever picked on me or bullied me obviously was a guy, but were also white. And what's crazy about that, and what surprises me, is that, again, they were all white people, people of my own kind, my own race and ethnicity, and yet I got picked on and bullied a lot for many years by people of my own kind, by people of my own race and whatnot. And it's just like, I mean, it shocks me. It kind of has me scratching my head thinking, like, wow, I mean, how could this be? How could this happen, that I'm picked on and bullied by people of my own race and ethnicity, people of my own kind, that you would think I would get along with perfectly or fine or even at least okay with. But no, it's the complete opposite. And, you know, one of the worst things that probably ever happened to me is in 9th grade, I was running home, running out of the high school and running on the sidewalk, and this one white boy that I had gone to school with for many years thought it would be hilarious to trip me while I was running as fast as I could, and he put out his leg to trip me, and obviously I didn't want to fall on my face, so I put both my hands down to stop my fall. And I mean, my hands didn't bleed or anything like that, or maybe they did, I can't really even remember because it was so many years ago. And he was just cracking up, and his older sister, who was picking him up from school, was also laughing while in her car, and I didn't do shit. I didn't do anything. I didn't get any sort of revenge of any kind. I just stood back up and saw the reaction, and I just walked the rest of the way home. And I mean, I just can't believe he did that, and thought it would be just so funny. And I didn't do anything though. And I've also been tripped before when I was a third grader many years ago, when I was walking with my class, and there were these two white boys right behind me, and we were probably walking to lunch or gym or something, and they were just tripping me constantly the whole time in the hallway, to where I was like falling on the floor. And I didn't punch them or kick them or anything, and I didn't get back at them. I didn't even like cuss them out, and I mean, I didn't even tell them yet at that point, but they just kept doing that the whole time, and they were laughing about it. And then the next day I didn't go to school, and the principal was wondering why I didn't, and I told her, and she made those boys apologize to me over the phone. And I mean, it just makes no sense. And in kindergarten, I was picked on and bullied by boys when I wanted to pretty much play with them when I was like 5 years old, and they would tell me to play with someone else or play with myself or something like that. And then they would make fun of my lunch or whatever that my mom made for me. And every single person who ever bullied me was a white person. At the end of the day, it was a white person. That's the point I'm trying to make. And even after all that, after all those shitty white people that I had experiences with over the years, I don't hate all white people, because I've had really good experiences with many white people. So I would never single out an entire race, even if I had a shitty experience with even several people from that certain particular race. And I've never got picked on and bullied by a black person, because I've never had that chance and opportunity and experience to have grown up in an environment in a place where I would have been surrounded by black people, and either have gone to an all black school or mostly black school, and lived in an all black or mostly black neighborhood. I have never had that experience, chance, or opportunity yet. So I have yet to be let down by black people, if that even does happen. And I'm not even saying that it will. I'm just saying that I have yet to find out. And the same could be said for people of any other race. I've yet to be let down by people of any other race or ethnicity or whatever. And I'm not even saying that will happen, but the point I'm trying to make is, even in the environment I was raised in, I was still picked on and bullied. And it wasn't even the hood, it wasn't the ghetto or anything like that, not even close. But I mean, it's similar in some ways, where, I mean, you get bullied and picked on anywhere you go, no matter your age or skin color. I mean, you can even get picked on and bullied and hated on by people of your own race. I mean, think about that. And, you know, a lot of my family members think it's really odd and strange and bizarre and weird and even crazy that I am so obsessed and addicted to black people and black culture all around, and why I'm just so much into it and so drawn to it and so fascinated and interested in them, in their lifestyle and their environments that they're grown up in and raised in, and that they themselves get to usually and almost always experience. And like, my family doesn't get it, and to them I just come off as an insane person who's off, mentally off, and just not normal. And they don't get why I make such a big fuss or whatever about black people, or again, why I'm so obsessed and addicted to them as I am. And you know, of course they won't get that. Of course they won't understand it. And the same could be said for the people who wonder, why in the fuck do I care so much about video games and gaming consoles and gaming computers? Like, why am I so addicted and obsessed with video games and gaming consoles and gaming computers? Why am I so much into that? Why do I make such a big fuss and deal about that shit? Because it has people scratching their heads in confusion. And you know what? Of course it doesn't make sense to you. And of course you don't understand it, because you, like most people, probably grew up with and were raised with gaming consoles and video games that you probably had of your own, regardless of your race, and that you probably had and got for your birthdays and Christmas. And if you grow up with something, or if you grow up somewhere, you're going to get sick and tired of that thing. Eventually, you're going to get sick and tired, no matter what. Whether that's a person, place, or thing. Like, even if you're born and raised in one of the most beautiful places on earth, you'll probably get sick and tired of it. You'll probably get bored to death over being born and raised and living your entire life in Hawaii or California or wherever the fuck you're born or raised. And the same could be said by the people you're raised by, or the kind of family you live in, or the kind of people that you're surrounded by in your life and in your environment. Like, you'll probably get sick and tired and bored to death of people of your own race if you're constantly surrounded by them all the time, 24/7, and everywhere you look, in every single direction, there's a person of your own race. There's a person, there's a person, there's a person, and it's like you never see anything new. You never see anything different. You never see anything that you're not used to. And, you know, all I can say is the reasons why I'm so addicted and obsessed with video games, for example, gaming consoles and gaming computers, is because I never had them. I never had that experience or opportunity of my own to have my very own personal gaming consoles or video games or gaming computers that I would have hypothetically had in my teens, when most teenagers obviously do, because most teenagers have and get jobs when they're in their teens, so they can either buy what they need or want. And so they can literally just spoil themselves shitless of gaming computers, whether that be a gaming desktop computer or a gaming laptop. But even something as fun, exciting, and addicting and whatnot as a gaming PC can get boring after a while. Anything or anyone can get boring after a while, and that's just a fact. And I do think the exact same could be said if I would have been raised in an environment where there were black people. Not that I would have hated them, but I would have gotten used to them to the point where I would not have made a big deal or fuss over a certain particular race of people. I would have just thought of them as people. They're just people like me. I would have seen past the skin color or whatever, and I would not have been as obsessed and addicted to them as I am. But because I rarely, and I mean this like for real, I rarely and almost never get to see black people. I mean, that is a fact, straight up, black and white fact. The only time that I even ever get to see black people in person, even just a slight chance, is when I'm in the car with either one of my parents driving through, say, Grand Rapids, Michigan, or Detroit, Michigan, that we might go to see like a car show or some shit like that, or some sort of an event that our dad wants to take us to see that might be in Detroit, Michigan or whatever. Or same could be said about Chicago, driving through Chicago to go to the airport or something, or some sort of museum or whatever and I see black people, but I've never had the experience and opportunity to where I would have been able to grow up surrounded by those people and interact with them a lot every day, constantly, and go to an all black school or mostly black school, be born and raised, or at least raised, in an all black neighborhood or mostly black neighborhood, to where I would have gotten very used to black people, just as I am to white people, to the point where I wouldn't make such a big fuss and deal over black people or anything, to where I would be so obsessed and addicted to them and so fascinated and interested and into and like drawn to them, because I would have been so used to them. And I would have just been like, I would have just thought of them as normal people, instead of something that's like seems so impossible to interact with or to experience or have the chance and opportunity to be with, if that makes any at all sense. And I mean, I don't mind really, and I have no problem at all whatsoever with people who don't understand me or think that what I say does not make sense. Because, I mean, if I were any of you guys, I would probably think the same of myself. I'd probably think, man, this guy does not make any sense. I don't understand him. He has me scratching my head. I mean, what the fuck is he going on about? Why does he think the way he does? Why does he believe the things he does? And that's exactly what my family thinks of me. I mean, they practically think I'm a freak at the end of the day, if anything. And I mean, I don't know what to say, but I mean, all I'm saying is that I would have loved the chance and opportunity to have been raised even in a place where there would have been a lot more diversity than the type of country or the type of schools that I went to, or the city that I lived in from 15 to 22 and then moved back to a country, but a different one than the one that I lived in when I was a kid. And I mean, I don't know. And all I can say is that I hope that I'm able to move out of my parents' house as soon as possible. And, you know, I mean, I hope that I can move out anyway, because my family is just absolutely toxic anyway, because they don't understand me, they don't get me. And you know, a lot of people will say shit like, your family's the only ones who will ever understand you or love you the most or care about you the most or get you or whatever. But the truth of the matter of fact is, at least for me, my family don't got me. They don't get me. I don't really feel truly loved or respected or understood or feel like anyone in my family relates to me at all whatsoever. And, you know, I will say this, that I would probably have to be an absolute idiot and a moron to want to try to live in the ghetto as of right now. As of where my life is right now, if I were to try to go there and try to live that sort of lifestyle, I would not fit in. And I would come off as cringy. I would come off as just an absolute loser and a geek and a nerd and, I mean, just like an idiot and a fool. And I would probably get robbed and killed within seconds or minutes upon arriving in a sort of place like that. And so I do absolutely agree that if you're talking about me getting picked on and bullied or whatever by living in the hood, as of right now, if I tried to go there now or whatever, of course I would. I don't doubt that for a second. But what I'm saying is, if I would have had the chance and opportunity to have been born there since a baby, or since birth, in other words, and raised there throughout my childhood and teenagehood, and even still lived there in my adulthood, I think I would have fit in more. And I think I would have been accepted more so if I would have had that sort of experience and opportunity and also chance, instead of trying to go there after I get like my license, if I even do a car and a job, and try to live there and make it happen in that sort of environment or place. I would not last. I would not last. But if I had the chance to have been raised there, since even at least I was a kid, then I would have been a lot better off. And, you know, in my opinion, and I will end this video with saying this, I think there are some valuable things that you can learn from being born and raised in the hood, such as it makes you stronger and tougher emotionally and especially mentally, because it's very dangerous, it's very hard, and it's very difficult to be born and brought up in that sort of environment and lifestyle, no matter who you are, no matter what your race is. It's very, very hard and difficult, but it does make you a much stronger person and tougher. And it also does teach you actually really good things, such as watch your back everywhere you go, always be alert, always be cautious, always be aware of your surroundings, because at any given time you could be shot or robbed or anything like that, beat up out of nowhere, and always have something on you to protect and defend yourself. And when you're just raised in a sort of environment like the one I was, which was the country, and then a very safe, well protected and defended, normal, calm, peaceful white city for the most part, and then go back to the country, but a different country, I mean, you're going to be really weak. You're not really going to learn anything. And you're not going to be strong emotionally or mentally. You're not really going to learn anything at all. I certainly have not. And so I just wanted to end the video with saying that, and let me know what you all think in the comment section. I'm out.